Is your entrepreneurship coming from a state of ego? Welcome back to the Crown Yourself podcast. This is a special Friday episode that is only available if you are subscribed to the audio version on Spotify and Apple and all other podcast platforms. So this one is not on YouTube. And as much as I am loving being back on YouTube, this one I really wanted to have something special for those who just like to consume audio. And so this is a new thing that we're testing with Crown Yourself. And I am so excited to be doing this because these are just going to be quick little bite-size amuse-bouches of inspiration, activation, perspective shifts to really allow you to see, like, is this game of building an empire really for me? And to sharpen you as iron sharpens iron. So my question to you today is your entrepreneurship coming from your ego? And this came from having a conversation with a marketing specialist. She crushing it in her field in a business position. She's already in a business. And the call of entrepreneurship is seeming really sexy for her. And she's extraordinary in what she does, but she was like, I don't know, I'm feeling like I could probably make more money as an entrepreneur. And all of the other calls of like, I'd have more freedom and all that. And I checked her for a second. I said, well, yes, eventually you can. Yes, eventually you can have more freedom. But right now you are operating in your zone of genius as a marketing specialist. And as soon as you jump into being an entrepreneur, you are wearing 27 other different hats. You are CEO, you are COO, you are the bookkeeper, you are the marketer, you are the salesperson. I said, right now, you don't have to sell anyone on your marketing skill sets. You've already sold your company, or as I say to my corporate clients, those who are still working in corporate, you have investors in your business or your side hustle, and that is your company that you currently work for. I said, but your company already sees your potential and already sees your skill set as an asset. So you don't have to sell anybody on why they should work with you over any other marketing agency or marketing specialist. And that allowed her to have a perspective shift because so many people on the internet, they see like, oh, entrepreneurship is the thing. And I'm like, I will beat the drum of entrepreneurship because I am certifiably unemployable. Like I left my last job back in 2017 and I've been an entrepreneur full-time, 100% for nearly 9 years. That's any form of job working for anybody else is not for me. In fact, when I left my last job where I was teaching as a Pilates instructor in a chiropractic office, and I was also doing consulting for their social media, their website design, their business growth. My boss was like, as I was leaving, she was considering 2 different types of people and for the position of Pilates instructor. And she said she had one who was just a Pilates instructor, and then she said, and then I have this other one who's just like a Kimmy, and because she called me Kimmy, and she said, I have one who's just like a Kimmy, and I said, who does social media. She also does web design. She also does, she's also has a freelancing marketing company on the side. And she's also a Pilates instructor. And I said, yeah, curious, which one are you going to hire? And she said, the one who's just a Pilates instructor. I said, why? And she said, because there can only be one head bitch in charge. And I said, you're right. As one head bitch in charge to another. Mad respect that you recognize that as a leader. But as I was having a conversation with this client of mine, she was struggling with like wanting to begin her marketing agency and this potential shift of like, well, should I leave? And especially this can be really sexy when you are surrounded by entrepreneurs, because she saw my success, my level of love of entrepreneurship, and she was like, maybe that's for me. And I just challenge you, is your entrepreneurship desire coming from ego? Because there's a lot of people on the internet who have built, some level of success and and achieve some level of money on the interwebs. But I can guarantee you, being an entrepreneur full time, which also means supporting a team, which also means it's not just solopreneur, it's not just being a freelancer, and it's not just being a business owner, because anybody could be that and have a side hustle and it's totally fine. But being a full-time entrepreneur means you are building and scaling and creating, and you are literally creating jobs for other people. That is your job. So there's a big difference between being the creative visionary space and being an entrepreneur. And there's a great quote from the book Becoming Time Rich, which I am having Lloyd, who wrote the book. He is an amazing Australian business owner. He is coming onto the Crown Yourself podcast, and he shared a story of a very well-known marketer who's like the best in marketing in the world, some could argue, who actually replaced himself as CEO of his own company so that he could stay in his genius zone, so that he actually gave himself the job of being in his genius zone, because running the entirety of the company was not his zone of genius. So my question to you is that actually your zone of genius? Because it's okay if you want to be a freelancer, and a freelancer in your job. It's okay if you want to have a side hustle. But let's start telling ourselves the truth about what it is that we do, so that we don't put the pressure on ourselves of having roles and responsibilities and titles that actually aren't in alignment with our zone of genius. And that's why when we say, is entrepreneurship coming from the ego? Not everybody is actually built to be an entrepreneur. It takes someone who can tolerate a lot of risk, who can tolerate also sometimes a lot of sacrifice. There are a lot of business owners I know and entrepreneurs who have gone through moments of cash flow crises, myself included, where there is a crunch, where it comes down to okay, I am choosing to decrease my food budget for my family so that I can pay my team so they can keep the business running. Are you able to withstand levels of decisions like that? That is a powerful one to say, or do you want to just have some nice side hustle, cash flow income coming in from some side work that you're doing? It's okay. It's okay to not be the badass boss babe business owner. You don't have to be queen of your life. You don't have to be sovereign. To be sovereign actually comes from self-truth. And it comes from telling yourself the truth as to where your level of leadership lies. And maybe it's not actually in growing a massive, gigantic company. I know it can look sexy when you see everybody else and their mom doing it online and looking like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this big thing and I'm doing this gigantic business and it looks so successful and amazing from the outside because I'm putting on big events and things like that. But really, you're dipping into your family savings to put on a show. Or you are dipping in, or really you have a spouse at home who's supporting you, and that's okay too. I'm not saying that you can't be an entrepreneur if you don't have two entrepreneurs can't be in a household together, but my husband, he's not really an entrepreneur. He is a freelancer in voice acting, and he's been an entrepreneur, but right now that's not his path, because it's a hard path. So the question is, and the question that I pose to my client is what is the truth? Do you actually want to have 27 other different hats and scale something that is memorable? Or how else could you leave a legacy if it's not through your business? How else can you leave a legacy? Maybe, and I've seen this one with authors a lot, maybe your authorship is not this full-blown empire, but it is a side hustle that supports your passion and allows you to feel purposeful and to purposefully connect. So recognizing that you don't have to borrow the dreams of other people on the internet. You can lean into what is your zone of genius, what is that thing that you do brilliantly well, and then lean into doing that. Because not everybody is built to be an author. Not everybody is built to be visible. Not everybody is built to withstand entrepreneurship and to scale something big. Not everybody's meant to be an influencer, nor can they withstand the amount of judgment, rejection, potential challenges that come with visibility. And we say that these things hold us back, but really, ultimately, are they for you? So, not necessarily are the fears that you think that you should have because of this goal that you think you should have, are the fears that you actually should have. And sometimes that fear is actually one that's your ego's placing there because you're not actually in alignment with what your soul is calling you to do. So, in this podcast episode, I challenge you, if you have a job, if you have a job, if you are building a business, to really look at, like, where does your skill set lie? And sometimes, because we're very skilled at delegating down, we can delegate tasks, but do you need to delegate up? Do you need to delegate someone into the role of CEO? Do you need to delegate to someone as COO to be able to handle your marketing or your operations so that you can do what you do best in your zone of genius? And is your entrepreneurship desire actually is it coming from pain, or is it coming from a true desire in your soul and being in a space where you're like, yes, I love running a business. I love serving people, building, scaling, growing, or I love being a freelancer and I love doing the things that I do really well and then having a nice, stable, 6-figure income, and that's where I'm at. So decide where you're at. Decide what the truth is for you. Really allow this podcast to search your heart and let me know. Tag me on Instagram or drop me a DM at crownyourself.now, and I cannot wait to hear what your breakthroughs are from this episode. This episode is an audio-only episode for Crown Yourself, so make sure you're subscribed to the Crown Yourself podcast on Apple and Spotify so that you don't miss the special audio-only episodes that are only for the OG podcast listeners who don't watch video. I love you so much. Thank you for being a part of this growing community and of choosing to reign in your life in the way that is most aligned for your soul's calling and your divine purpose on this planet. There's no need to borrow someone else's. As always, own your throne, mind your business, because your reign is now.